Hey guys, this is Rainbow Life with yet another video. Module Federation in Angular. Let's have a look. Module Federation turns your Angular app from a monolith into a constellation of apps that come together at runtime. Let's have a look at the high-level design. Here on the internet, you will have your shell as a host and MFE-A, MFE-B, etc. and many more MFEs you want as the remote MFEs. The shell or the host will pull the remote bundles at runtime dynamically as and when needed. The shell owns the global layout, the navigation, theme, authentication, and the remote runtime remote configuration. So the whole set of framework is owned by the shell. And what does the remote owns? It owns its own specific details. For example, it can be a billing remote MFE, a CRM MFE, an inventory MFE, and so on goes the list. Let's check out the internal architecture. First, we'll go and meet the shell, our host. The shell, like any other Angular application, will have its own app component, which will have the header, footer, layout, and everything. The routing module of the shell will be like this. There can be local feature modules, multiple ones, as well as a remote module, the MFE, that can be loaded dynamically at runtime. Now, how does a remote app look like? See, the remote entry app, it also has its own routing file. The file will have its own routes to the individual pages. The shell doesn't care how the remote arranges its internals. That's the remote's job, none of the shell's business. What does the shell care for? The shell only knows one thing: how to load its exposed entry module. Clean, decoupled, and elegant. That is the beauty of Microfrontend. Angular 14 uses Webpack 5 under the hood, so Module Federation is now basically a first-class citizen. Thanks to the amazing module and Angular architecture slash Module Federation, configuration becomes almost too easy. Let's check out the config file for the shell. Here, we would require the Module Federation plugin to be imported. Then, let's check what it contains. It should contain the set of remotes as well as the shared ones. Remotes, check out these remotes. They are actually um, the remote entry.js to our individual remote MFEs. And the shared modules are the ones that can be shared across multiple remotes as well. And now let's check out the remote config. The remote config is a lazy loaded what? It just exposes the uh, billing module, individual module of the remote MFA. Boom! What happens? The shell can now load billing at runtime. Cool, na? Deep dive how module federation works behind the scene. Let's follow the flow. Shell loads its remote entry, then the scope and everything. It is so self-explanatory. And next, let's check out the routing architecture, where magic meets Angular. How does the shell routes look like? The shell routes, they are lazy loaded. They load the remote module lazily as and when it is required. How about the remote routes? It contains the individual routes to the various components, various pages in the remote component. And the most important point, communication between the MFEs. All the MFEs are, we know they are independent of each other and they shouldn't get messed up. So the communication is a key point that we should carefully use. First, let's check out what is allowed plus what and all are recommended. The first one in the list is the custom browser events. Next, you can use the RSJ services, host level message bus, the URL parameters, of course, the NGRX store, APIs, and WebSockets. And what we should avoid at all cost. The first point is cross MFE dependency injection service mutation. That is quite dangerous. Next one is direct component imports. Yet another killer. This one mistake can convert the whole micro-frontend architecture back to a monolith. Third one, using global window hacks. And fourth one, sharing huge domain libraries. Next, let's see the recommended architecture. Here see the shell. It has the event bus and the various MFEs listens to the event bus. The it broadcast, everyone listens. Everyone publishes, shell forwards those published data if necessary. How beautiful it is, na? Decoupled, clean, and maintainable. Shared libraries and versioning, yet another important topic. To avoid version hell, we should use strict version true in our config file. Align Angular version across MFEs. Use NX to sync dependencies. NX is such a beautiful tool, you know. I'll create a video of it soon. Share only what must be singleton. For libraries like Lodash, don't use singleton. Next topic is deployment architecture. This is where module federation truly shines. Your CDN or reverse proxy maps should be something like this. Do not hardcode URLs. Use runtime remote.json files. This allows deployments without rebuilding the shell. NX integration. This is a highly recommended practice. NX is basically the Tony Stark suite for module federations, you know. Benefits: distributed builds, affected graph, instant caching, shared library workspace, version man alignment, and CI/CD isolation. And the last but not the least, failure handling and resilience. Every software is human made, and we should be ready to handle our failures as well. Things will break, but we should be well prepared for it. The first one is we should add retry strategies. Circuit breakers must be added. Fallback UI screens should be incorporated. Health endpoints should be added. Rollback pipelines should be taken care of. What happens if remote fails? It will load the error page. That's it. Gracefully handling failure is one of the best methods to be practiced in web development. And this is the final picture. This is our browser. It loads the shell as a single page application. Angular is praised for a single page application. What does the shell do? It loads the remotes dynamically. The billing MFE, the CRM, shared libraries, oaths, everything will be loaded dynamically by the shell. This is the whole picture of how module federation will look like at the end. That's all. Thank you. Hope this was quite informative. And do comment and subscribe to my video and let me know in comments what else or on what topic else I should create video for. Thank you.